All right. Welcome everybody who is joining us for today's webinar with Reach Higher. Let's go ahead and take a look at who we have on as participants. Benicia, I see you, Chuck, as well. Benicia and Chuck, would you be able to type in the chat box just to make sure that you can hear us on your end? So if either one of you would be able to just type in the chat box to be able to hear us, that would be appreciated. Joshua, we see that you have joined as well. Welcome, Joshua. Welcome, Krista. So Benicia, Krista, Chuck, and Joshua, would somebody be able to type in the chat box? Oh, great. Chuck is saying that he can hear us and view us. So awesome. Yep. For folks just on your screen, you should see the Strive Together and Reach Higher kind of intro slide. We will go ahead and give folks about 2 minutes to get on the line. And then from there, we will turn it over to our partners at Reach Higher. Go ahead and get started. Welcome, Kim, and welcome, Kimberly. Thank you for joining us. Okay, we're going to give folks just 1 more minute. We will go ahead and get started at 3:04. All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all so much for joining us. We are joined by Reach Higher and Civic Nation. We are joined by the Deputy Director of Civic Nation, Stephanie Spro. And our presenter today is Eric Waldo, who's the Executive Director of Reach Higher and the Executive Vice President for Education of Civic Nation. Eric has a history with the First Lady Michelle Obama's staff in Reach Higher, and he also served as the Deputy Chief of Staff for former Secretary of Education Arne Duncan. So we are so fortunate to have them as our partners, and I will go ahead and turn it over to Eric.
Great. Thank you so much, Michael, and thank you to those of you who are able to join today's conference call. Happy Monday. And again, thank you to Strive for your partnership and the work that you've been able to do with us together. So before we get started, I just want to tell you a little bit about how Reach Higher and the work of First Lady Michelle Obama is continuing in the post-presidency and how excited we are to talk to each and every one of you. For those of you who may be familiar, Mrs. Obama started Reach Higher in 2014. Really, her notion was that as the president had called for the United States to once again lead the world in terms of the percentage of young people with a college degree, she said that she wanted to do her part, and she really wanted to reach directly to young people. And I always talk about her as the school counselor in chief for the country. So Mrs. Obama began using her time and platform at the White House to call for more young people to pursue and complete some education past high school, whether it's a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree, a community college, or an industry-recognized certificate or credential. So we've spent our time focusing on those areas, focusing on things like college and career exposure, focusing on making sure more people have access to financial aid and college affordability, making sure that students are actually ready for school on time, time with academic and summer support, and also thinking about how we can support adults like school counselors to make sure the students are getting the access to the college access and college counseling that they need to help them on that path to and through a post-secondary education. So the good news is that Reach Higher is continuing. We are now housed over at Civic Nation, and the work is going on. And in fact, Mrs. Obama is continuing with her work. And one of the things we're going to do, her first real public foray into this work since we've begun, is College Signing Day. Many of you may be familiar with College Signing Day. You probably have heard of the sports one if you haven't heard of the academic signing day. But in January of every year, high school seniors around the country have to let colleges know where they're going to play baseball, basketball, football, some sort of college athletics. And it's actually given a lot of attention by ESPN, by local TV and radio. And the notion is they're so excited about these young athletes and where they're going to play next. And in fact, it's heralded with a ceremony. They put on their hats, they put on their shirts. It's a big deal. And schools around the country realize that we should be celebrating the academic success of our young people in that same way. And so, in fact, May 1st is the day by which high school seniors around the country have to let colleges know where they intend to go. And so schools around the country have actually organized college signing days to have a rally-like atmosphere to celebrate the fact that young people are committing to their education. And so Mrs. Obama actually launched Reach Higher at a college signing day in San Antonio, Texas. And San Antonio actually had the entire community celebrate the fact that their seniors were going to college. And this is something we're so excited about. And in the subsequent years after 2014, we have actually continued to work on College Signing Day and actually to organize additional signing days around the country. And we've doubled almost every year to the point that last year we had over 1,200 college signing days in all 50 states. So we are back at it again. This year, Mrs. Obama will join us in celebrating College Signing Day on Friday, May 5th. So really, this College Signing Day kit, which you can download at bettermakeroom.org, that's bettermakeroom.org, this kit is meant to be something you can use if you're trying to organize a college signing day in your community. So some of the things we have inside are things that we think will be useful for you as you're trying to perhaps motivate fellow counselors, a school principal, a mayor, other folks to participate and help you in your endeavor to plan and successfully execute a college signing day. So we have a message from Mrs. Obama. We have a description of the challenge of making sure more young people are getting a post-secondary education. We have a description of how Better Make Room and Reach Higher are now working together at Civic Nation. And then we have some very specific examples of how you can get involved from the nitty-gritty of bringing a celebrity, hosting a photo booth, what your rally might actually look like. And then finally, this year we've had in responding to feedback, most folks have said, it's not just enough that we celebrate the high school students, we celebrate seniors. How can we get more elementary and middle school students involved? We put some suggestions in this year for you to consider. So moving forward, a message from Mrs. Obama. You'll see the picture of President Obama and Mrs. Obama in their college gear. I mentioned we first held a signing day in San Antonio. And one of the fun things that San Antonio did was, as a city, all of them dressed in their college gear on College Signing Day to show college pride, to actually get the entire community thinking about college going spirit, even if you didn't go to school, wearing a college where your neighbor, your niece, your nephew went, a way to celebrate that college going culture. So every year, College Signing Day, the entire White House and actually the entire Obama administration would put on their college gear, post pictures on social media. That's just one example. This message from Mrs. Obama is meant for you to be able to show to your leaders, show to someone in your community, say you're taking part in a larger celebration. It's not just your event, it's an event that's actually being celebrated around the country and it's part of a movement. There's a hyperlink to a video from Mrs. Obama. We're actually going to be putting out even a newer video this week that you can use to post at your event, that you can use to help motivate folks to participate. So that'll be available, and we'll make sure you have that as you're looking at how to celebrate during your big day. So the College Challenge is what I already sort of described at the top. It's why places like Strive exist. It's why you're part of the network. It's why President Obama and Mrs. Obama have engaged in this work for their careers in public office and now their careers out of public office. And that is to say, we know that to be successful in the 21st century global knowledge-based economy, some education past high school has to be the goal for every young person. And that's a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree, a community college, a certificate, a credential, but that's got to be the goal for every young American. And we know that all too often our poorest people, our poorest students from our low-income families are actually not putting themselves on the path to and through college. We want to make sure that where you're born, what your zip code is, isn't your destiny, which is why we've been encouraging every young person to consider and think about what they're doing to plan for and plan to complete some sort of post-secondary degree. Now, this is really important, and the reason Mrs. Obama has taken on this issue is because this is, in fact, her story. She herself is a first-generation college graduate, and that's why we've been taking on this issue. So one of the things Mrs. Obama has deeply understood in all of her initiatives as First Lady is that it's important that we have the right policies in place, but it's also critical that we win hearts and minds, that we think about how to influence the cultural conversation happening every day with our young people. And that's why Reach Higher and Better Make Room have been supporting efforts like College Signing Day, where we want to make sure we are actually creating and celebrating a college-going culture, celebrating students who are going to college the same way we celebrate athletes and celebrities. When we launched Reach Higher, we launched it out of the White House and began that endeavor for almost 3 years. As part of our work, we launched a campaign out of our fellow nonprofit partner, Civic Nation, a C3 based here in Washington, D.C., because we realized that while it was critical to be motivating and activating adults and counselors and college access organizations, we know that to really get young people excited, we have to have a campaign that's directed towards them, and we need to be thinking about how our young people are communicating today. And frankly, we know that they're doing so on digital devices, on Twitter, on social media, on Instagram, on Snapchat, on all of these technology platforms, and that oftentimes we're seeing young people creating their own content, trying to participate in the conversation in their own way. And we realized we need to create a platform that would let them do that. And if you go to bettermakeroom.org, you'll see how we've started that campaign, where we're getting celebrities, YouTube influencers, social media people with humongous multi-million person platforms are actually engaging in conversations about how education is the answer to helping young people lead the life they want to live. Better Make Room literally means you better make room for young people because they're going to do incredible things. This next generation is ready to go. After leaving the White House, the Better Make Room team has actually joined the Reach Higher team has joined with Better Make Room here at Civic Nation. We're continuing Mrs. Obama's efforts, and she signed on to help us do this work, and we're so excited to have her. So as we're thinking about College Signing Day, it's useful to look at what Signing Day was like in the past, and certainly we have examples of Mrs. Obama's participation. I want to give you some inspiration for how yours might look, whether it's a classroom, an auditorium, or a citywide event. As we mentioned, in 2016, we held our final College Signing Day as part of the White House complex. We did so in Harlem with MTV, and we were so excited that we had high schools participating in all 50 states. We want to make sure we do just as well, if not better, this year. And we had 50 states and 1,200 events. We really want to see if we can beat that 1,200 marker, and we need your help. And as you can see, this is some examples of tweets that went up showing the celebrations that were happening around the country. It's not just that we want to make sure you celebrate, but we want to make sure that you give your students a chance to actually shine and show that and brag about it around the country. So we want you to tweet about it. We want you to post on Facebook, on Instagram, on Snapchat, bring in your local TV crews and networks to cover this, because it's so important that young people see that education is something that is being celebrated in our communities and culture. So the simplest thing to do, we need you to get involved. If we're going to beat that $1,200 number of events from last year, we need your help. The first place you can go to download this kit to sign up to tell us about your event is to bettermakeroom.org. You can click on the College Signing Day tab, and that's where you can sign up and tell us about your event. And that's where we have even more materials that I'll discuss shortly. You can download this guide that is at bettermakeroom.org if you need it, if you want some of these tools, if you want to review and refresh what we talked about. And we want to make sure that you're thinking about what your event may look like. So the first question is the who. Who should be involved in planning your event? And we want to say that this is really meant to be a community building event. This may depend on the size of your event. If you're hosting a citywide event, we've seen citywide events in places like Philadelphia, Miami, Detroit, New York, Cleveland, etc. If it's a citywide event, you're going to need to working with places like the mayor's office, with some of your nonprofit leaders, maybe even with the business and sports community to get athletes there, to get local celebrities, etc. But mostly, this is meant to be a fun event for students. So we want you to work with students on thinking about how you want to celebrate them and how this can be an event that students across the school and community look forward to in years to come. With respect to when, I want you to again to know that May 1st is the deadline, but we know that schools around the country will host a college signing day on different days that work for them. We know events that will happen as early as the end of April and as late as the beginning of June. Mrs. Obama is going to celebrate on Friday, May 5th. That's going to be our big social media day of action where we want to be trending on Twitter. We want to be the most talked about story. But wherever and whenever you celebrate, we want to be there to help lift you up with that retweet, by pointing resources to you, by helping you perhaps find a celebrity partner. And so please make sure that whenever you're doing your event, you sign up at bettermakeroom.org. We want to give you credit for that event. This year, we have some new resources available that we're so excited about. We actually received a $100,000 grant from the College Football Playoff Foundation, and they're working in conjunction with DonorsChoose to help us give out that money. We are giving out $500 grants to 200 lucky events, so we want you to sign up. So for those of you who said, hey, we're not sure we can find money to do this event, this year we've heard that piece of feedback, and we want to make sure that we're helping you. So the instructions are here, and I won't belabor them. You can take time to go back through this deck to learn how to apply, but you first want to register your event at bettermakeroom.org, and then follow the instructions to sign up at DonorsChoose. And then after you signed up, this is a piece that we really need your help on. Go ahead and tweet about it, tag us, tag at Reach Higher, at Better Make Room on Twitter when you told us you signed up, so we can go check out that event, put on that hashtag so we can find it, and we can make sure that you're being considered so that we can fund you and give you a $500 grant toward your event. We've actually already given out 17 grants, so about $3,000. We're so excited to give out the rest of this money, so please make sure you sign up. The one big piece you need to know is you must sign up by the end of April. So by the 30th of April, you need to have signed up, and we want to be able to have time to have DonorsChoose vet the organization, give you time to get that money, and hopefully by doing this, you'll actually be able to find additional donors and even raise more than $500. So we're excited to get you helped and give you some more additional resources that are financial that can help you do this event and make it as exciting as possible for young people at your school or your community. We thought about and talked for years about it's not just the one $500 contribution. You may want to try to find additional sponsorships from local community members. This year, if you go to bettermakeroom.org to our college signing day page, you'll also find a sample corporate sponsor letter that you can send out. We'll also have links to a Zazzle store where you could use money or potentially buy t-shirts, buttons, or stickers. We'll have additional free resources like signs and other handheld placards that you can download. We want to make sure you have fun chum and other materials for your event. In terms of where you should host an event, I want to say again, it depends on the size and scope of your event. We know that for many schools, if you're in a small rural area, you've got a small community, it may just be a great college advisor helping plan an event for 30 seniors, a ice cream social party, a pizza party, acknowledging students at the assembly or in homeroom. But whether it's an auditorium, whether it's a stadium, whether it's a huge event, we want you to do what makes the most sense for you. And no matter what you're doing and what size and scope, we want you to celebrate it and tell us about it at bettermakeroom.org and online. So in terms of who you should invite, again, I think the idea here is if you're having a larger event, something like we did in San Antonio or something like Mrs. Obama participated in Detroit, it really is meant to bring the community members together, bring the mayor, bring city councilmen, bring other teachers and parents and counselors, because you want the community to look forward and say, yes, we're all in this together, we're all building that college-going culture. But even if that's not possible, we know that bringing the school together, seeing this as a large community event is critical to making sure that people can feel involved and they can be part of this and see that this is something that the community is building towards for years to come. In terms of what the event should actually look like, I always tell people this is meant to be fun. This is really meant to be a rally. A pep rally is what we think about it. You see here on the side, we have YouTube and television star Bailey Madison taking selfies in her college gear with students. But we do talk about the simple thing of wearing a college t-shirt, bringing in college swag, and that's not just for the students who are seniors, that's for the entire school. Using it as a dress down day, letting the teachers, the administrative staff, the support staff all wear college gear can spark that conversation where a student may not have realized that a teacher went to Ohio State or another local college, and they can have that conversation, see them as a community member. And even if they didn't go to college, showing support, showing college pride can help the community come together and really get excited about what's possible. We do think, and you've seen it in all of our pictures here, that using a visual medium to capture this, getting people excited is really important. So you see how excited young people are to take that selfie, to post for that photo, to post for that snap. We want to make sure you're capturing that, and Photo Booth is a really great way to do so. You can get your art department involved. This can be a way to create college signing days, college logos. We've seen people make, in the art department, use a fake Instagram sign that they can do, so they're holding it up. Really fun things you can do. We will have College Signing Day placards and signs at bettermakeroom.org at the College Signing Day tab. Please check it out. But it is really meant to be fun. We want you to capture this event. We want you to tell us about it. So really, this is simple. We want you to help join us and be part of this movement. We want you to help us be one of hopefully over 1,200 events this year happening around the country. So go ahead and go to bettermakeroom.org, sign up for your event, take that pledge. But also this year, if you have questions, we want to make sure you have our new email address. That's reachhigher@civicnation.org. If you're trying to find an additional keynote speaker, if you're wondering if there's a local celebrity, if you're wondering if there are other things you can get from Mrs. Obama, whether it's a video or otherwise, please reach out to us. We want to be as helpful as possible, no matter what day your event is, and we want to help you really celebrate it and be excited and help build that college-going culture in your community. So moving on, I mentioned that in previous years we've gotten questions about how to get more elementary and middle school students involved, especially from school counselors. They've had the question of, I don't teach in a high school, what should I do with my students? And as many of you likely know, building a college-going culture doesn't start in high school. It certainly doesn't start your junior or senior year. We know that starts as early as preschool, and in fact, making sure young people are thinking about college their entire lives is critical. So we have some example exercises. I won't belabor this and read all of them. You can take a look at them on your own, but they're ideas as simple as just drawing or designing commitments to their future, cap and gowns, take photos, doing fight songs and school mantras that they can write and learn about, to as complex as taking a field trip. And you may have a local school in your community. You could plan a college fair or field trip. Or if you don't, I encourage you all to check out virtual and free resources like Google Explorations, Google Cardboard, Google Expeditions, where you can actually visit over 100 colleges around the country. Mrs. Obama did a Google Expedition visit at Howard Community College, where she checked out a community college nursing program. We encourage you to do virtual free college tours like that, so that whether you're able to show students in one way or another what it's really like to be on a campus, what college is like, and what you can learn and study there. We do have even some more specific examples. If you're with very young students, we even have a suggested elementary school book, Mahalia Mouse Goes to College. We have all sorts of things you can do, whether it's college chants or decorating contests, but it really is possible and encouraged to get elementary and middle school students excited about this and involved. At some of the larger events, we have seen schools bring the elementary and middle school students to the rally because they want to see this is so celebratory, that it is something that they want younger students to look forward to in their educational career one day. Yes Prep in Texas does this, where they bring the entire community together to participate in that rally. It's one of my favorite events. Additional questions that you're able to follow us. We gave your email address, but posted it again here. You can email us at reachhigher@civicnation.org. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram. That's at BetterMakeRoom at Twitter, at BetterMakeRoom at Instagram. What's not listed here, you can follow at ReachHigher at Twitter and at ReachHigher2020 on Instagram. We've got our hashtags. When you are posting on College Signing Day, we want to see hashtag College Signing Day trending #1, but you'll always also see us with our hashtag BetterMakeRoom and see what's going on. Before we turn it over to questions, I want to just go ahead and answer a few that we've received in webinars we've held previously. #1, a question we'll often get is, I have students in my community who are pursuing the military or don't yet know what they're going to pursue, or they're pursuing a trade school. How do we make sure we're including them, or is it appropriate to include them in College Signing Day? The answer to that is absolutely. We want to make sure we're including all students, no matter what their post-secondary decisions are. The military students are going to trade school, even or something from that community to bring in to celebrate that is critical. With respect to students who maybe are in danger of not having made a post-secondary decision yet, a student who's struggling and we're not sure what's going to happen to them, especially when we talk to college counselors, we know that that's actually a great opportunity to have a sit down with those students and sit down with them. And whether it's a community college that's open enrollment or other opportunities, it's a great chance to check in with those students and make sure that they are thinking about what's next for them. So with that, again, I just want to thank Strive. I want to thank Michael and the entire team for making this possible. For those of you who are able to take the time this afternoon, I know how busy you are. I know many of you are going to be watching this at a later time and date online. Thank you for your interest in Mrs. Obama's work. She said this is going to be work she does for the rest of her life, and we are excited about all the work you're doing to help make sure that college and post-secondary dreams can come true for young people, no matter where they're from. So thanks again. Michael?
Yeah, thank you so much, Eric. So let's go ahead and turn it over to questions from participants who are on the line. Feel free to type in the chat box or in the Q&A option that you have on your screen. Type those in. We'll give folks a few moments to do that. And for anybody who's watching this, like Eric said, just at a later time or date, just make note again of all that information that's on the screen right now to be able to get those questions to the folks at ReachHire, or feel free to reach out to your network navigator. Let them know that you're interested in doing this and learning more. And if you don't have any questions but are going to pursue this, we'd ask that you still follow up with your network navigator so we can capture who is doing this work and potentially connect thought partners and send that information back to ReachHire. So we'll give folks a moment to type in the chat box and in the Q&A option you have on your screen. We will go from there.
While we're waiting, I will just say again, Michael, hey, thank you, but really to all the Strive communities, no matter what's the size and scope of what you're planning, we want to hear about it. We want to make sure that Mrs. Obama can retweet and post your events to her millions of followers. As I mentioned, we have about $97,000 we're still looking to give out in college signing day grants through our College Football Playoff Foundation and Donors Choose Partnership. So please make sure you go and sign up for that. And we really do, no matter what day you celebrate, want to honor and count your college signing day. So go to bettermakeroom.org and sign up. And we'll continue to post highlights. And we'll work with Michael and the Strive team to send a follow-up email with resources from Mrs. Obama and other ways you can celebrate and help us on May 5th and beyond, whenever you choose to celebrate.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. It looks like for right now, none of the viewers have any questions, probably because you did such a fantastic job and were very comprehensive with all your explanations. But I'm sure as people begin to take this work back to their communities, they will reach out with some. But we do have actually one that Kim just came through with right now, which is, as a Strive Together organization, does anyone have an idea for how to collect information about the different schools actually participating? We haven't done this before, and by getting info out about it, we might not hear back about what is done in our community. Suggestion. I think that could go, Eric, your team at ReachHire, but I'd also open that up to any participants we have on the line. Please feel free to chime in with that as well.
So I'm sorry, can you repeat the question one more time, Michael?
Sure. So Kim said, as a Strive Together organization, does anyone have an idea for how to collect information about the different schools actually participating?
So, with respect to that, I wonder, and I'm looking at Stephanie here, who's with me. We know of the 1,200 events around the country. We think last year over 600,000 students participated in some sort of college signing day event around the country. So we have citywide events at places like DC, Philly, Miami, other communities, but of the vast majority, I'd say about a dozen of those 1,200 events are probably citywide events. The rest were individual school events. I'm not sure, this may be some stuff that still exists somewhere on a server at the Department of Education or at the White House, but we can try to go back through our files and see if there's a way we can get you guys a copy of schools we know participated last year. And if not, I actually do encourage folks to go online, search, if you're a person who uses Twitter, search through hashtag College Signing Day and go through. Last year we celebrated on April 26th, but just look through that hashtag and you'll see, probably thousands of tweets and images from schools around the country that you can help find what's going on. But if there are individual questions, if you're trying to find a community, we are tracking that. And you could also email us at reachhigher@civicnation.org if you're looking to find the events that are happening currently. We think there are close to 800 events signed up through our work right now. So we can help you with that as well.
Awesome. And we've gotten a few questions just about folks who are interested in getting this slide deck and the toolkit. I will post those on the portal, but if we have any practitioners who are joining this call, community partners who may not have access to our portal, please just comment in the chat box with your email addresses and I can send that to you. Or like Eric mentioned, please feel free to reach out to them at reachhigher@civicnation.org and they can connect you with even more resources, I'm sure.
That's right, Michael. And again, this PowerPoint deck is available. This toolkit is available at bettermakeroom.org. So literally you go to our website, you click on College Signing Day, and you scroll down, and one of the first things you'll see is download College Signing Day Kit. And you'll download this. And we're updating it as we get more resources on that page. You'll also see additional pieces that we have, but please go ahead and do that, and we'll make sure if you were unable to get it through here, you can go to bettermakeroom.org, click on College Signing Day, and download the kit there. It'll be available in perpetuity.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Eric and Stephanie. It looks like we do not have any more questions. Kimberly does say perfect, and thanks. It looks like she's already on the website and can see it. And so we will just reach out if anything else comes up. But thank you both so much.
Thank you, Michael. We really appreciate you.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.